Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with the Mayor. I see that we have some guests on Zoom as well as here in the chamber. And this morning's topic is going to be about the upcoming comprehensive plan. And I have two guests, Dawn Doty and Beth Quigley, and I said Quindry, and they are both involved in the comprehensive plan, but also Dawn is an employee of the community of the city of Olivet and has done a lot of work and research with the latest consensus report. So I'm going to give an intro to both of them, and then I'm going to let all of you introduce yourselves as well. And then they're each going to do a presentation this morning, not as much of a Q&A with me, so that to bring everybody up to date on where we are in the process, and then the next steps of how you can get involved with the comprehensive plan. So it's an exciting time because our last strategic plan was 20 years ago. So it's an exciting time for the city. So let me introduce you to Dawn. Dawn is sitting to the far left, and Dawn joined the city of Olivet as a senior planner in May of 2021, where she leads the planning department's geospatial and database management and supports Olivet's planning community and economic development and zoning administration. Previously serving as the GIS analysis for the St. Louis County and commercial real estate data analyst for the St. Louis Economic Development Partnership. Dawn has a strong background in geospatial analysis related to real estate, redevelopment, and federal data analysis at the local level. Notable projects include establishing St. Louis's promises zones in 2014 and 39 North's initial planning phase in 2016. Dawn is also a 10-year and counting resident in Olivet. On weekends, you can usually find her chasing her son Alec or to city sponsored sporting events at Stacy Park, or being yanked around Warson Park by her hound dog Blue. So welcome, Dawn. We also have with us this morning Beth, and Beth Quindry has worked as a staff member and consultant to governments for the past 15 years. During the time, she has worked with the communities and organizations in Missouri, Kansas, and Illinois to develop their unique visions and decide what is most important to them. Beth loves working with cities like Olivet, where people really care about their community and about decisions that local government makes. With passion for public engagement, Beth is an expert public process designer, creating and implementing dynamic public process that bring people together to have meaningful discussions about their future. Plans Beth delivers are aspirational yet attainable and contain a strong focus on implementation. Beth holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Missouri in Political Science and a Master's in Public Policy from La Follette School at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She lives in Kirkwood, Missouri with her two daughters, Claire, 17, and Nora, 14, and her husband, Paul. In her spare time, she enjoys yoga, eating at new restaurants, and visiting friends near and far. And we here at City Hall have had the pleasure of working with Beth before, because she worked with us on our parks plan and the engagement evenings that many of you were at, that were over in our other room. She also worked with the council this year in a retreat and helping us with setting our goals for the year. So it's a pleasure to have her here. And I'm going to turn it over to Dawn for her presentation. Thank you. Oh, before I turn it over to you, we've got a lot of people here. I forgot to do introductions. So we'll start with Jim. Usually we have a question, but today we're just straight with names because we have two presentations.
Jim Person.
Karina Eastup-Foy.
Missy Waldman.
Juan Morrill. Robel Isaias.
Beverly Tucker Knight.
David Goldie.
Leslie Ricard.
Stanisław Lubecki.
Sława Lubecki.
Sherilyn Krell.
Todd.
Greg Todd.
Greg Yowitz.
Wayne Zawada.
Rose Seving,
Beth Andreski.
Carol Wagon,
Denise Mandel.
Andy Cohen,
Rose Trejo.
Sunday.
I also want to thank, before we get started, Kiana Fleming, who helps to coordinate, and there's plenty of refreshments back there, so please help yourself. But we also, Robel, who's sitting with Beverly Tucker Knight this morning, and he is associated with Revo Cup, and they are a new coffee shop in town, and they provided the coffee this morning, so thank you very much.
That definitely deserves a round of applause. Thank you for the coffee. Well, good morning, everybody. So I'm going to try to keep it light on the demographics, but it is because it's a little bit of a dry subject. So the demographics for Olivet have changed quite a bit since the last comprehensive plan. That's one of the driving factors of getting the comprehensive plan renewed, updated, so that it reflects the current population. Here we see the decennial census population estimates or counts for each year since the city was founded. You can see that we compare pretty well. We did have a period of downturn, and then for our 2006 comprehensive plan, one of the tenets was to increase density. We have been very successful with doing so. So we've had a close to 10% growth in population and density. We are over 3,000 people per square mile. Which is, we have gained, we are less dense than St. Louis County, but we are gaining density faster than St. Louis County is currently. We have grown in some new age cohorts. We've emerged from professionals to parents and kids primarily. Although these are not target demographics, I do want to stress that these aren't numbers or specific areas of people that we're targeting. It's more or less what it was interesting. So this is more like the boutique version of the PowerPoint that is online, where we see a fast look at what our families and what our people look like in terms of age. Overall age dependency is a national issue, and we are comparatively much higher with an age dependency ratio of over 80, which means that there are 80 non-working people per every 100 working people. So, and our population has grown in terms of diversity. We have a relatively large foreign-born population, 65% of those originating from Asia. We have a very large, and I'm very proud of our nearly 25% multilingual. And of those 25%, can't remember the exact number, but 67 or so percent speak English very well. And they are primarily Asian and Pacific language speakers. This was something that stood out to us as something that we would possibly need to overcome in terms of communications. What do we need? Do we need to put out more marketing materials and translations, and what we need to get it translated to? So these numbers are used in a lot of different ways. So if I get silly. I apologize. We can also see that our population has changed in we are close to the white, and the white section is ebbing, and you see a growth in the Asian and Black or African American to where it is close to 25%, or sorry, close to 40% minority, which is no longer, that makes it the more prominent. These are trends to watch for 2023 as we have over 500 housing units planned. So we're going to see major changes in that median rent, the median monthly cost for a mortgage will change as well. You can see that the median rent and the median mortgage costs have changed or have increased by nearly 30%. That's only expected to go up. Home ownership has dropped off some, and as there are more rental units, that is also going to change. And that is the end of my.
Do you have any questions on the demographics? That's really interesting information and really helpful to us as we start thinking about planning for your next 20 years. Yes, Ravel?
You mentioned in the statistics how the Asian community is very growing and big and trying to connect with them. Do you know any ways you're trying to connect with them? To start off? Yeah.
Well, I can't think of any one specific thing. I know that looking at different ways that we send out our messaging with newsletters, the need for yard signs, because people may not be familiar with our website. They don't speak English, so they're not reading an English website, right? Yard signs, those are something, and they can ask their neighbors to kind of decipher and determine the need to attend things. So at least we're trying to get our heads around really what we can do. And if you have any solutions or any ideas, we are open.
We also recently connected with a DEI consulting firm. So that's actually something that we're working on right now, is how to connect better with our community. So the council and the staff is working on that as well.
There's actually a huge Asian community network that's already existing amongst themselves, and they activate all the time for community projects and when families are in need. I mean, I'm in touch with them on a regular basis because they're in our schools, they're in our parks. I mean, I don't think you have to reach so far out of the box. You just have to call and talk to people.
I was just gonna say, yeah, getting the word out, talking to your neighbors. That is the best way to communicate. However, it's not the only way, and we don't want it to be our only way. We do if you have any contacts that you would, or any centralized contacts that we can reach out to, that would be great.
We are also aware that a lot of our communications are placed on their thread, on their network. So, and they're very engaged as a community.
It can't be a surprise to any of you that these demographics came out that way, because you planned the community. And when you come up with a lot of rental units, and like the Oliver and what's going on, on the other side of Olive, when you have family dwellings, you understand the kind of population you may be getting. So I may have been asleep at the wheel, but you guys did the planning. So I can't figure out why you're now rushing to figure out how to communicate with them, because that's the way you planned it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, I would actually, I think there were a couple of assumptions made on that, and that one is that the multifamily, we've always had some multifamily units here. These aren't new. We do have apartments here. The apartments that are coming, the Oliver is really the only one who's now has an occupancy. And so that's a future look, right? And as far as the change, there's some assumptions, I think that the people in the Asian, and again, remembering the definition of Asian, it's, we're not just looking at China, Japan, we're looking at India, et cetera. The idea that they're living in multifamily units is probably an assumption as well. Most of those folks, we are primarily a single family residency. And so where you see that change, so as far as planning for that change and planning for who came in, I don't think there was a specific desire or not desire, but a specific plan for outreach. I think people came in, and I think we all know that what we do know, the primary reason that people come here is for the school system.
I would also like to notate that what Don just reported on were the results from 2020. We're in 2023. So people were filling out these census reports while they were on lockdown during the pandemic. Oh, so like 2019. So we're really looking back 4 years at where we were. If we were to do it today, it'd probably be it'd be a little different already. So now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Beth.
Right, good morning, everybody. I get to talk to you a little bit about the comprehensive plan that the city is starting to update. So our official public launch is going to be in early March. So you're getting a sneak peek at what's going to happen. But before we talk about the comprehensive plan, just a plug for planning in general. So the groceries are up on the slide because we're all planners. Everybody in a community plans. You plan in your individual life. So you plan things around the house, you plan to go to the grocery store. And if you don't have a list, what happens at the grocery store? I come home with a lot of granola bars and chocolate desserts. So you plan, but if you plan, you end up with healthy things that maybe you make better choices. And so that's the idea with comprehensive planning. You're really taking a big picture look. This isn't just what are we doing today and what development proposals do we have to think about today? It's really thinking about what over the next 20 years, how do we want to develop, redevelop? What do we want to be attractive to? How can we shape our community over the next 15 to 20 years? So the goal of any kind of planning is to really think about the health, safety, and economic well-being of residents in a way that reflect the unique needs, desires, and cultures of those who live and work in the community. And I read that verbatim because I like that definition, and it really places the emphasis on the unique vision that you need to have for your community. So Don and Carlos and Barb and the mayor are going to be shaping policy to react to what the community wants its future to be. And so the comprehensive plan is our chance to really look at what change do we see coming? What do we need to be ready for? And what proactive change do we want to create? This is a little bit about what a comprehensive plan does. So it does define the vision for the community. It considers all aspects of your community. So if you think about Olivet and all the pieces that make up your community, you've got roads, you've got a lot of this is physical, roads, housing, your parks, your city buildings, your all the pieces that make up a community. So we're going to look at each of those, and we're also going to think about things like community identity and how you all think about your community and how you feel in your community. So a component of the comprehensive plan will look at a healthy community, and a healthy community considers not just your physical health, but your emotional health and how you feel connected and welcome in the place where you live. And that's a really interesting thing to be thinking about at this time, as you heard from Don, the increasing diversity of Olivet, and that's very consistent with trends nationally. that we're more diversity is happening in a lot of our communities. And so really deciding how you want to adapt and think about that is important. Comprehensive plans always involve a lot of public input to think about what you want to see in the future. And it's always a balance. You know, Olivet has a lot of residential development. You also have a very important commercial corridor in Olive. And so what is the right balance between development along Olive that really funds a lot of your city services and the things that you need, and then the residential development? What kind of residential do you want? That balance between multifamily, which we know is an increasing demand, and then the single family residents that have really been your emphasis a lot through history. And then a comprehensive plan provides a framework for policymakers. So I want to talk a little bit about, just related to that, like what a comprehensive plan is not. So a comprehensive plan is not immediate change. We'll talk about a lot of things. We'll talk about a lot of possibilities, but there's no shovels that go in the ground because of the comprehensive plan. A comprehensive plan is going to provide the direction. So it might provide a suggestion that a certain kind of development will be in a location, but it's going to take a market developer or something to come forward and say, yes, we're going to do that. And later on, there's construction. So it's setting the table, but it's not, the food's not there yet, if that analogy makes sense. So it's not an attempt to replace the market. Planning is really just to take I guess I'm stuck on food analogies as I talk about things, but so I think of planning sort of like a potluck. You know, in a potluck, I might tell you to bring desserts and I might ask you to bring a side, and then you're going to but I'm not telling you that you're going to bring brownies, even though they're my favorite, and that you're going to bring macaroni and cheese because that's you're setting the table, you're giving these categories about what things are going to be there. And that's kind of like what you're doing with a comprehensive plan. You're saying, this is the kind of thing we want here. And then there's a role for the market to play in coming forward and offering the specifics. And that's important because when you talk to people, and we've done this even with high school classes, it's really fun. You know, what do you want to see in the future? And they're like, Smoothie King, you know? And so, and that's great. We'd love to see a Smoothie King too, but your city and planners, we don't get to control that. That's a market thing. And so we can make it more likely by having maybe mixed use development. And as you have more density, you're going to attract different kinds of retailers. And so we can set that table and create the conditions that make it more likely for Smoothie King, but we can't actually twist their arm and make Smoothie King down here. So comprehensive plans are also not zoning. There may be changes recommended to consider in future zoning, but the comprehensive plan itself is not zoning. So these are some things that comprehensive planning is not. It doesn't mean that it's not hugely important because it influences your decisions for all of these things, and really creates a framework so that when individual proposals come forward and you're considering certain projects, the decision makers have a really good sense of what the community wants, and can make policies and decisions on individual projects that reflect that. So the comprehensive plan is hugely important in setting direction, but no construction immediately. And we get to talk about a lot of things and then settle on recommendations that actually implement over 15 to 20 years. So it is a very unique opportunity. You know, the last plan was 2006. So your community has changed a lot since 2006. So it's kind of a big deal to get to do it. How many of you lived here in 2006? I'm curious. Keep your hands up for just a second. Okay. And how many of you are new since 2010? Okay. So interesting, because what is this? It's 48%. 48% of Olivet residents are new since 2010. So 48% of Olivet residents are new since 2010. So that doesn't mean your population has like doubled. It just means that people have moved out, people have moved in. So this is interesting to note for a couple reasons. We know that people who've been in a community longer tend to be more involved. So you're here today. And that's true. It would be interesting to know the same information for those who are on Zoom. So,
Can do a hand raise if you need.
oh yeah, can I see them? Oh, okay. So good. So for the folks on Zoom, how many of you have lived here since 2006?
You can just raise your hand. There you go.
Okay. And then how many are have moved in since 2010? Okay. Okay. So
Great, thank you.
yeah, thank you, Zoom attendees. So it's interesting for us to think about that, like as we think about engagement for the comprehensive plan, because we're going to need to create a lot of opportunities and we're planning to create a lot of different opportunities for involvement. So we're getting to people who've lived here for a long time and who are very interested and are used to following things that happen with the city of Olivet. And then we need to get out in the community and be where people are. So we run into people who don't always show up to meetings. So that would be an important part of how we move forward with the comprehensive plan. I want to show you a little bit about our process. Mute up, Barb. I turn it on. Let's see. Barb, if you could advance this slide.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. So you don't need to, there will be a quiz on this, and a site test. We'll use this for your site test. So this is a little glimpse at our process. So what I want you to take away from it is that there is a process. It's going to take about a year. We're going to finish up, we're expecting in December of next year. So the process involves a lot of different groups coming together. So the top line shows you that we're just meeting with city staff every 2 weeks to keep things moving. We have meetings scheduled with the city management team at critical points, and you can see what we're doing with them. We have a workshop with them in April to look at vision, trends, SWOT, and issues. We'll talk to them again when we have a draft plan, and then review the draft plan together. We have an advisory committee that's been formed, and I know there are a couple of members. Can you raise your hand if you are here from the advisory committee? Thank you all for being here. So the together an advisory committee of different folks from the community representing different parts of Olivet. So we represent the whole community, different interests. So there'll be a group that we're meeting with regularly to kind of road test some of our ideas before we take them out to the public. And they're also going to help us just plug into different groups in the community and help us with outreach. So the advisory committee will be meeting several times. And then we have joint workshops scheduled with the elected officials and PCDC, the Planning Design Commission. Okay, just committee, Planning Commission. Okay. I'm going to get that right. So that will be a really good opportunity for your appointed body that does looks at planning issues to meet with your elected officials. In the comprehensive planning world, it's actually the PCDC that will adopt the plan. But the council is going to be hugely influential and important because to implement anything in the plan, we need to have council support. So we want to make sure that we're involving the elected officials and the appointed officials throughout the process. Okay, and then the last line on there, which has a lot of X's because we're still figuring out exact dates, is the most important, which is the community engagement. So as for engagement, we have a lot of things planned. There's going to be an engagement platform that's online. We know a lot of people are very used to providing input online, so we need to have a really good online presence. So when you get your newsletters, it will have the website in it and some of our initial activities, which will be a survey and a couple other activities will be available online. And then we'll be popping up at community events. We have a couple of our own meetings that are scheduled, one in June and then one later when we're closer to a draft plan. So you'll be hearing about all of these things through the city's newsletter, through the city's social media. And then we hope that you'll also take our short survey, not necessarily now. It's on the next slide, Barb. And there's hard copies in the back. The survey that we have right now is just a very quick survey it has a couple of questions and then it asks you a little bit about you, some demographic questions, and we're using that to start collecting names. So when we launch in March, we can just send everybody a big email and say, hey, we're getting started, please pay attention to the website. It's also giving us a really good early preview of, again, like who naturally responds to things for Olivet. And so what we're seeing is that it doesn't exactly reflect your demographics, and it's pointing to places where we need to pay more attention as we do engagement and target ourselves in some strategic locations and with groups that don't naturally just come. So, the online surveys on paper in the back, and then I'll put the QR code up if you want to take a picture of it, you can connect to it. But it won't take long, and it would help us out for you to do that. So, okay, we're going to talk a little bit about, we have a little time to do a little exercise. Microphone skills are lacking for me. So vision is really important. Vision is, we do visioning in a lot of our planning processes. So I want to give you a little vision inspiration. So the pictures up here are from a project that I recently learned about, and you may have known about it before. It's called the European Green Belt. Has anyone heard of the European Green Belt? You have? Okay, cool. Yeah, this is new to me, and it was really made my day. So the European Green Belt is it's a greenway that's being developed between Norway down to Greece and Turkey, and it's following the line of the Iron Curtain. So some very visionary people looked at the Berlin Wall and looked at the Iron Curtain back in the 90s and said, you know what, when that comes down, there's going to be all this there's undeveloped land, and we can use it to create a wildlife corridor and a greenway. And so that's happening, and it's thousands of miles long. So what was so exciting about that to me, it's like I'm not the best person at visualizing what's not in front of me. So some people, that's a gift, but I really think it is a gift. And so the idea that people looked at that and through all the barbed wire and everything else saw, this could be something else. If we get people together, this could be something else. So I think there's more than just the visioning. It's like the imagination that you have to have. There's the hope that things can be different than they are now. Now, Olivet bears no resemblance to 1950s Germany, right? It's pretty good here right now. But the point is that you can, what do you want to imagine? What do you want to think about as you think about the future? For those of you that were here in 2006, and I'd be interested to hear like Carlos's and maybe Dawn's opinion too, but like what changes do you notice here in Olivet between 2006 and now? So yeah, just think about it for a minute. Yeah. Yana, you want to do the...
Noticed that, and this is, I think, a benefit, the diversity has changed. I mean, specifically, when it was time to decide where to live with my two sons, we chose Olivet over the rest of the school district just because of the diversity at Old Bonham School. And the impact it'll have on them going forward is that we live in a diverse world, and it's getting smaller and more diverse by the day. So that's one thing. The other thing that I've noticed is the know a better way to put this, but the death of the mom and pop restaurants up and down Olive. I mean, we saw Mama's Restaurante go under, the Chinese restaurant stood empty for over a decade. And so those kinds of things have been, Flatkins is gone. I've been here since, the 80s. And so that's been disheartening to watch, because when you drive from Olive in Creve Coeur and Olive in U City, you see a huge difference in representation. We don't look very good. That chunk in the middle of those two stretches of Olive don't look great, and haven't over the years. And it was different when I was younger. So I think that in and of itself has been a change. And that I don't think is for the better. The only other thing that I would say is, it's cyclical, the density in an area, because people age and families grow up and go away. I would ask that we not be short-sighted about creating more density, because our schools are very dense. And I definitely hope that it's being vetted very well with Ladue School District, what they can handle and the capacity, because somebody said it earlier, I believe it was the mayor, that, we're not obtuse. We understand that the reason that people live here is Ladue School District. And so if we tax out our schools, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. So.
We have a representative from there's a representative from Ladue School District on the advisory committee for that reason, just knowing that it's hugely important for the community. Yeah, yes, appreciate that. I think that's important. We'll be keeping that in mind for sure. Yeah. Okay, other thoughts on changes?
I think one of the things that's been most interesting to me is to see how buildings use and how they change over time, and the imagination that can occur with that. And how land use, particularly along Olive, has changed so much since 2006.
There is one thing, as the percentage of rental property grows, there is increased importance of the quality of schools, because the major reason people move here is the quality of schools. So we prefer to have people coming here, those who care for their kids' education. So I think schools here should be given the right to establish academic and behavioral requirements for the students to have the right to attend the school. And if some student wants to attend the school, or his parents want him to attend the school, but he doesn't meet these requirements, schools should have means to provide remedial courses for the student. So he or she takes remedial courses in order to become students with his full rights of the school. But the schools shouldn't be forced to lower requirements like academic and behavioral. I think this is the most important thing. Because right now we have this tendency that lowering requirements in every subject, in mathematics. You know what I mean, right? So I think this is the most important thing. And also public safety. In this regard, those two things attract the people that we want here. Okay, thank you.
Just a quick comment on that. The comprehensive plan does a lot of things, but we can't can't set curriculum in schools, but your point is taken that the quality of schools is important and what we want to make sure that we're supporting and enforcing that or supporting that. For questions, and then I have a question for you. Why you have sticky notes? Okay.
Yes, I've been here about 40 years in Olivet. I guess one of the biggest changes I notice is more business and commercial development along Olive Street. And I think it's really been done very well. There was some concern about how this would impact traffic, but I think so far the development has been great. And I'm very pleased to hear that the comprehensive plan is not intended to replace free market forces, because that's ultimately what's going to, as long as we have freedom, that's what's going to determine the future of our community. So I'm pleased with the way things are going.
Everybody see me? So I grew up in all of that. So I've been here since like 1956, I think it is. So I think Missy's been here as long as I have. I think the changes that have occurred in all of that since I've moved in when I was a baby, it's been quite remarkable over the past few years. And I would really say in many ways, all of that has experienced a rebirth. As a planner, I've also seen cities go up and down and die, and you go through a cyclical process and so on. And this community was remarkably able to adjust and change and allow itself to grow again. And I think as a community, we should be very proud of ourselves. Commercial is always last. So the housing had to experience a rebirth first, and then it spreads to retail once there's a new market. And so now we're seeing that along Olive Street Road. And we'll probably see more of that as time goes on. And I think we should all be very proud of ourselves for what we've been able to accomplish and the new residents that we've been able to attract and how our community's been able to grow the past several years.
Biggest change in my mind, and I would hope the comprehensive plan deals with this, is the change in how many apartments are being built. We haven't seen yet. I think it's supposed to be about 200 apartments behind Chevy's. What's going on Dealman when the houses come down and how many more we get there, plus Olive and the Olive Crossing. And with all of that, again, for the schools, it is a huge, huge problem. And I would hope the comprehensive plan stops some of this, because at a certain point, we're in real trouble in our schools. We went to a meeting when the new, I forget his name, Lipsky came in. We have no children in schools, but just to hear him. And one of the things that he mentioned is if times get bad and a lot of the kids that are going to private school come to public school, Ladue and Olivet will be in real trouble. And with what you just have allowed to come in, God only knows how many more kids are going to be coming to the schools. We have some friends that have grandchildren in Indian Trails. They all go to different schools. They can't even, their next door neighbor doesn't even go to the same grammar school that they do. I can't even conceive of that. To me, that's why you're coming here. And if Old Bonham can't handle it or Conway can't handle it, I don't understand why the city allows the development. So to me, the biggest change has been how much development we've done. And I don't know if it's going to affect my taxes. Nobody ever seems to talk about that with what all we've put on, but it just seems like the biggest selling point is the schools. And I think we're going to start to really hurt it if we keep allowing more and more apartments to be built.
sticky notes and do this exercise, and we'll have, I think we'll have additional time. But we are certainly hearing your concern about schools and the relationship between the number of apartments in schools, and that's something we'll explore through the comprehensive plan and have a lot of conversations with the schools about, so that we can be, bringing you their perspective throughout. So, thank you. Okay, so for what we're gonna do, Barb, if you would be able to put up the slide with the vision on it. And then I guess it's the next one. So, okay. So there are lots of ways to write a vision statement. We're not actually going to write a vision statement today, but I want to start getting your ideas. So the way we're going to do this is, if you have an orange sticky note, I want you to fill in the first blank. Olivet will be known for its blank. And I'm not going to let you write schools. Okay. I'm not going to let you write schools. We're going to assume that you want to be known for schools. And so I want you to do a different idea. And that's not because I don't agree with you. It's just because I think we've established that and I just want to get additional ideas. Is that okay? So we assume schools is a given. Olivet will be a community that offers, so the second blank, purple, if you've got a purple sticky note, do the second blank, and encourages blank. So, and encourages blank. If you have a green sticky note, then put a blank in, or fill in that last blank. So do that. Yeah.
And if you're on Zoom, you can choose any of the three and type it into the chat. Oh, there's no chat, sorry. You can email me at mwile@olivetmo.com. Because we want to hear from you as well. So if you answered the first question, which was in 2045, Olivet will be known for its, that we're going to put that over here to the left. You can put your sticky note. If you have the purple one, Olivet will be a community that offers blank. That will go on the far one back by Andy. Will you raise your hand, Andy? And if you have the green one, we're going to move them here, and that's Olivet community will encourage. And that would be the final one.
Okay. Thanks, Missy. I'm good. How are you? Nice to see you. Okay, before everybody just starts visiting with each other, which is a good thing. Let's take a look. So Olivet will be known for its, I'm going to mention I'm going to let you walk around and see this at the end, but what I see repeated are neighborhoods or residential areas, inclusiveness and diversity, loving community, and public safety. So those are kind of the themes that I see over here. And let's see, Olivet will be a community that offers, that was purple, right? I should have written down what I was going to say. Olivet will be a community that offers connections, diversity, vision, freedom, and encourages, we're going to, yes, I'm going to edit slightly. So Olivet will be a community that offers freedom. We're going to leave it there. That's safe. And it offers a variety of, let's see. Okay. Mom and pop retail, green spaces for gathering, in addition to parks, and financial diversity. Okay, good. And quality of schools, public safety. Oh, cheating. Someone's cheating by writing more than one idea. But quality of schools, public safety, freedom of economic activity for small business. Okay, and our final was, what does Olivet encourage? I think we're starting to see some of the similar ideas. We have community progress through new development, diversity, good services, collaboration, I like that, and encourage a healthy lifestyle and sustainability. Okay, so thank you, everybody. So this is just the one, this is one activity on one day. The process of developing your community's vision is going to be a combination of lots of input that we get in a lot of different settings. So today today is Wednesday, right? And it's 8:30 in the morning. So we will be having activities in the community that are in the evening, that are out where people are just shopping or attending an event, so that we really try to get input from a cross section of the community. So you're getting a little preview today, but there will be a lot more opportunities for you to weigh in, and we'll have a lot more specific questions too. So we have to develop a vision, or we get to develop a vision, but we're going to have a lot of specific questions for you about housing and about sustainability, which is a real emphasis in your plan, we expect. Lots of other questions about the specifics of what you want to see in your community. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you, everybody.
So in the back, before you leave, there is a hard copy of the survey. Otherwise, it's in our weekly what's happening in Olivet this week, and you can just click on it and fill it out online. It literally takes 5 minutes. I think it's interesting because no one mentioned, I mean, we're doing all these amazing things with the parks and recreation and the new community center. So I would hope that in the vision, there will be, more engagement with recreation and family. And Greg's here going, we got all the stuff that's going to happen at Olive. We're going to be eating and walking to Olive Crossing for eating and all of that. And coffee at RevoCup. So, this was some great input. And like we said, this is just the beginning. We're just scratching the surface today. So I want to thank everyone for coming. And I also want to let you know that on March 8th, Wednesday, March 8th, Barb Sondag will be my guest. And for those that don't know, Barb is retiring on April 3rd. She is moving to Maine to be with her grandchildren. And so we can't fault her for that. If she was going to another job, we would have fought it, but you can't fight when someone says they're going to be with their grandchildren. So she's going to be dearly missed, and she's made some amazing accomplishments in the city and helped get us to where we are today over the past 10 years. So we are going to kind of review and talk about some of the things that have been accomplished over the past 10 years with Barb. So I hope you'll be able to join us on March 8th. So thank you for coming. Oh, Carlos has an announcement as well.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to announce that we have two of our random winners for the participants in the survey with us today. We have Leslie and Rick back there, and we're gonna give them their gift certificates. And again, we encourage you to do so. I believe a random winner will be selected every month through this process. So thank you. Certificate from Fallon's and then a gift certificate from Plant Haven.
Oh,
Thank you.
very nice. Very good. Well, and a very special thank you to Beth. So